Hi guys. Now, thanks for coming back and joining us on South Korea Untold. Now, many of you are wondering and have been wondering what it might be like to work in Korea in the entertainment industry. Now, there are a couple of ways that you can do this. They are very competitive, but today we will explore the E6 visa, and also we'll take a little look at the C4 visa as well. Now, the E6 visa is the main visa that you will need to hold to work in the entertainment industry here in Korea. Now, the visa itself is designed for those wanting to work in music, work in performances, broadcasting, and film, and also as a model or perhaps in sports. Now, because the Korean wave has taken off globally, many foreigners have wanted to come and work in the entertainment field, and therefore applications for this visa have become a lot higher in recent years, and therefore the requirements have become more competitive. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard that there was the martial law declaration back at the end of 2024, and because of that, the changes with visas, the requirements that the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, which is where you need to get the recommendation letter when you apply for the E6 visa, those requirements actually become a lot harder. Now, first and foremost, what I would suggest doing is designing something called a com card. Now, a com card typically has around 5 or 6 of your best photos, maybe full length body, close up of your face, or portrait photos, along with your social media details, your measurements, so height, weight, shoe size, and also any skills that you have as well. So that could be anything from horse riding to ballet to singing or producing music. And it's best to keep it short, and I will include some examples later on my social media pages. However, I would suggest to design and make this first of all. Now, once you've designed your com card, it's best to start reaching out and looking for agencies. Now, looking for agencies can seem daunting at first, and rightly so. There are so many agencies that specialize in different things. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. And it really depends on what you're looking for. Now, for me, I would say when I first started out back in the end of 2021, I found it really daunting at first because I'd worked in some entertainment fields before, back in the UK, but not for many years. And to apply here in a different language and different culture and system, it felt, like I say, a bit overwhelming. But once you had the com card and you send it out to agencies, I'd send a short message, probably through social media is the best option. That way you can get a quicker response and see if they've engaged and read it as well. If not, it's always a good idea to follow up with an email. Now, when you reach out to agencies, don't just contact them and say, "Hi, do you provide an E6 visa?" I think it's best to reach out, be quite open, quite bubbly, talk about your experience and why you would be interested in working with them, and also maybe ask a question about what they could offer you as well. So turn it back on them. Now, I would say I reached out to probably over 40 or 50 agencies, and I'd heard back from around 2 or 3. Now, as long as you have one, which will sponsor your work visa, that is the main thing. But just be mindful. So, really, the agency should cover the costs of the visa, the lawyer fee for signing the contract, and also the immigration stamps this end as well. Now, some agencies do charge around 1 or 2, even sometimes I've heard 3 million won just to sponsor you. Now, they shouldn't be doing this, but it does happen quite a lot. So just be mindful as well. I mean, in my opinion, if you want to come and you want to work with that particular agency and they can offer you a lot and you can, verify the cost to yourself, then it's not so bad. But also, if they're not going to put any work into you as an artist, then I would be very mindful about paying money up front, especially if the application did get rejected, then you've just paid around one, two, or even $3,000 down the drain, essentially, and there's no guarantee that you would get that back afterwards. Now, for me, the E6 process actually wasn't that long. So once I'd heard back and selected my agency, we started the ball rolling. So I went for a meeting, we took some professional photos in their studio, signed the contract. And actually, at that time, I was on a working holiday visa, which was nearing its end. And I think I still had around 4 months left, but they wanted me to start the E6 process right away, which I was a bit unsure about. But within about 2 weeks, I decided, it is for the best. And I handed in my ARC, so Alien Registration Card, at Incheon Airport and headed back to the UK, waiting for the E6 process to be approved. Now, what I would suggest doing is making sure that you have a clear plan and clear communication with your agency throughout, so perhaps through Kakao Talk or text message. And once the agency submit your documents to the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, they will assess whether or not they will issue what's called a recommendation letter. And that recommendation letter basically shows that they believe that you have the skills and talent to work in the entertainment industry here in Korea, and also to show that they're willing to sponsor the application alongside the agency to the immigration authorities. Now, once you've got the recommendation letter back, and like I say, I would really, in my opinion, say that's the main thing that you need alongside a signed contract from an entertainment agency. Then you can go to immigration and you'll get a visa reference number. That can take around 10 days to 2 weeks to come out. I have heard recently from other people it has taken a lot longer. I think a lot of it depends on your nationality, whether you have a strong portfolio, you have contracts with companies here, to show that you will be working with them alongside your signed agency contract on your E6 visa. As long as everything's good to go, and once you've got the visa, and once you have the visa reference number approved, then you're able to travel back to Korea, and start working with your agency and start working in the entertainment field. Now, of course, the E6 visa activity is for, like I say, working as painters or models or actors, and even sometimes in the sports field as well. These days, like I say, it's a lot more competitive, and payments once you're on the E6 visa vary between client. Now, I've seen recently some extra jobs filming for around 12 or 18 hours, only paying around 200,000 won, which, okay, the minimum wage is just under 10,000 won, but if you think of your skills that you're bringing, also the time as well that it's going to take out of your schedule, it's a very low payment. And it also depends on the usage as well, if it's going to be domestic, online, worldwide, and also the period of time too. So just be mindful, you don't want to undersell yourself. Now, what I would really suggest, whilst you're here and you've started your E6 journey, to really network. Now, for me, that was very scary. I wasn't the most social person before. I had a lot of anxiety around, meeting new people and, just feeling comfortable. But networking is the main key. Now, a lot of entertainment jobs are not necessarily advertised. They're just advertised internally through people that you know or people that you worked with before. And it took me a good year to really find my feet and work with companies, gain their trust. Maybe sometimes it's okay to take a lower paid job if you think of the bigger picture. But like I say, network, be mindful about payments, don't undersell yourself, and really know your value as well. Of course, some agencies will turn that round and say, well, if you can't work for this amount of money, then we can just find someone else. It is a cutthroat business, but you should know that before coming. Now, I have also mentioned something called a C4, which is a C4 visa, and the C4 visa is designed more for short-term purposes with working in the entertainment industry here in Korea. Now, the main difference is the duration. It's valid for around 90 days compared to the E6 visa, which is typically given for 12 months. It can be extended after. So I'm now on my fourth year of an E6 visa. But you do need the whole Ministry of Recommendation letter again, contract, strong portfolio. So it is like applying over and over, but the only difference is that you don't need to leave the country, and then you can just extend at the immigration office as well. The C4 visa can be extended a couple of times, but I would be very mindful about doing that just because it's not the full E6 visa. It is only temporary. It is good, so you can gain experience working in the field here, also contact to meet clients and companies. And that's typically given if you don't quite meet the full criteria for the E6, and they think you might have what it takes, but they want to see, if you are able to get given work here before they issue the E6 visa. So I've not actually been on that one myself. I know one or two people that have been, and they seem to be more common in the last sort of 12 months or so. Like I say, the requirements for the E6 has got a lot harder, so there are more C4 visas being offered at this moment in time. So once you have your E6 visa, you are typically just signed with one agency. Of course, through that you will work with other companies. Your payments do need to go through the agency directly, apart from government payments, which can come into your bank account. However, once you apply and extend your visa, you do need to show, for the first time, earnings. So you need to get a printed, signed bank statement from your bank to show the income that's come in and where it's come from. And then when you extend after that, like year 2, year 3, so on, you'll need a tax statement from the tax office showing your earnings for the previous financial year. Now, some people do change their sponsored agency whilst they're on E6, and that is possible to do. I've recently just signed with a new agency myself, and it's pretty straightforward. You just need 1 or 2 extra documents. You will need what's called a letter of release from your current agency, just for official purposes, to show that they're happy that the contract with them is going to come to an end and that they're happy for you to work with a new company. Now, with the E6 visa, jobs come and go. They are very competitive to get. So busy seasons, sort of around February, March, April, and May. And then the summer tends to go quiet. So you might just get a couple of jobs. Then it picks up again. And then around sort of, I'd probably say end of November, December, it falls a bit flat again. So I would take the work while you can. Now, you are only allowed to engage in entertainment work, so acting, modeling, sports, and so on. If you do engage in unauthorized activities, then it can lead to penalties such as fines, imprisonment, and no further extensions, etc. And it is also really, really important to prove your performance record as well. So what I mean by that is, just say you worked as an extra on a music video. You, in some cases, might get given a contract. It's not always that straightforward. So if you do, great. But also you need to have photos or evidence and messages showing that you were actually on that shoot as well. Now, some shoots, they don't mind if you take photos behind the scenes, just on the pretense that you will not post them until the actual content has gone live. Some of them, bigger companies, are quite hot on not taking photos, and they will make you sign a NDA, so a non-disclosure agreement. And really, if you're caught doing that, I've heard before that you can get sent home with no pay, or they won't work with you again and they'll put you on what's called a blacklist. Um, However, for the E6 visa, your agency needs to submit to the Ministry of Culture every 6 months evidence of what you've been doing. So entertainers can submit visual or digital materials such as photographs or videos. Any work that has been final and gone live, send a YouTube link, the location where you've done that job. Like I say, any messages from the company saying that you're fixed for it, and just to keep a really tight record of your activities. Now, I would suggest if you've not worked in the entertainment industry in your home country, definitely do so before applying to an agency here in Korea, because, like I say, these days it's a lot harder to just, rock up, right? I want to work in Korea in the entertainment industry and get signed if you do not have prior experience back home. Don't also just take photos on your phone and think, that's a nice portrait photo or full body photo. Of course, for some castings, they do just ask you to do that, but not for the official reach out to agencies and submit these to the Ministry of Culture. You need high-level studio photos when applying, so definitely make sure you have them as well. That way you're, on a better foot and good to go when applying first of all. So the requirement for applying for the E6 visa and the documents that you will need is a valid passport, a completed visa application. You'll also need passport-sized photos as well, so I'd recommend at least having 4. You need the copy of the invitation letter from the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, which your agency will provide. You also need the copy of your employment contract, and it needs to be very clear as to the terms and conditions and the nature of your work, and also proof of professional qualifications as well. Like I mentioned, a strong portfolio, strong resume, so previous work experiences, and also sometimes performance details as well, outlining what work you will be doing whilst you're in Korea. Now, in my opinion, in the UK, I worked in an office, typically doing that 9 to 5 grind. And coming here and working on the E6 visa is definitely a lot more interesting. Every day is different. Of course, there is a lot of downtime as well, and you won't be working every day. And even when you do work, like I mentioned earlier, some of the shoots can go 12 to 18 hours. So the time does drag, but you get to meet some amazing people, work close with K-pop idols or famous actors, both Korean and international. Do make sure that you have savings before you come as well, because the work is not stable. Like I mentioned, there's down periods of the year where it is a lot more busy. So just make sure that, you have something to do, you have savings, and also don't live beyond your means as well. Now, of course, most of the work is in Seoul. I'd say a good 90% of it. I don't actually live in Seoul. I live in Daegu, but for me, I lived in Daegu before I was on an E6 visa, and it's more cost effective for me, since I have a family in Daegu, to remain there and travel up, stay in a hotel for a few days when I have work. I've been doing that for about 2 years. It's absolutely fine for me. But of course, rent in Seoul is expensive. If you're coming on your own and you don't know anybody, network, make friends, reach out to clients, and just get involved with everything that you can, just to make your journey a lot easier. But do make sure you have savings. Now, a question that I get asked as well quite often is, do I need to speak fluent Korean or have a good level of Korean to work in the entertainment industry? The answer is no. I've been in Korea now for about 5 years, and I will be honest, my Korean is not great, just because I am from the UK, and it's not an excuse, but a lot of people, when they meet me, want to speak and practice their English, and therefore I've not actually had the time and urge and really opportunity as well to speak and flourish and speak in Korean. But what I will say is that if you can speak Korean, then it will make your journey a whole lot easier. It will open up the jobs to, working with more directors, more clients, and also you might get more roles as well, especially if you can sing and act in Korean as a foreigner. Um, so yeah, definitely bear that in mind as well. So just to recap on the E6 and C4 visas, the C4 visa is if you don't have that much experience, but they can see something in you and they think you might be eligible for the E6 visa in the future. The E6 visa is a longer term work visa in Korea, but like I say, these days it's a lot harder to get. Please make sure before reaching out to agencies that you have a strong portfolio, you make a comp card, um, also perhaps an introduction video as well, talking about height, weight, and you can move around slightly so you can see frontal, side profiles of yourself. And do make sure that you reach out to agencies and that you have savings before coming here, because it's not easy, especially in the first year or so when starting out. So do make sure you do your research, make sure that it's for you, and just be prepared for the ups and downs and the roller coaster that it is. Thank you for tuning in to South Korea Untold today, and please join us on the next episode. Subscribe and like below. Thank you.